Fall semester just a couple months away for college students, but the decision on what that's going to look like depends a lot on where a student goes to school. As part of a Rebound Maryland series, we're looking at how different institutions will be managing higher education while dealing with COVID-19. WMAR2 News' Mark Roper has that story. So Mark, why isn't there one single standard for colleges and universities as the outbreak is still going on?
Good morning, Christian. Well, many college administrators are following each other's lead, but just like each state is handling its recovery plan differently, the same applies to universities. And despite the fact that there isn't really a single set of guidelines, administrators are not really completely on their own.
Administrators across the country all face the same dilemma: how to reopen schools during a pandemic. But despite the shared concern for the safety of students and staff, there isn't a shared set of guidelines for universities to follow.
For the most part, I think you will find that leaders in higher education are calling around to other institutions to see what they're doing in order to try and figure out the best practices.
Many administrators, like University of the Potomac President and CEO Dr. Clinton Gardner, are communicating with each other, as well as the College Accrediting Association, the Middle States Commission on Education, for advice.
We are accredited by the same accrediting body that accredits some of the world's great universities like Georgetown, Princeton, NYU, and Penn, and other institutions. And so they have provided us with some reasonable guidance on how we should think about the fall.
We know that institutions are learning from each other. We know that faculty and staff with experience delivering programs and services online are being tapped to share their expertise with others.
Officials at some universities have announced campuses will remain closed as all classes go online, while others plan to reopen and hold classes in person. But those aren't the only differences across the country. Some schools will require everyone on campus to wear masks. Others are reducing class sizes to maintain social distancing, not to mention protocols for coronavirus testing, temperature scanning, and sanitizing procedures.
We generally will not be issuing that kind of advice to institutions, primarily because we serve so many institutions in so many locations where the conditions may be different.
Guidance for administrators in terms of how to safely reopen their universities to students. But just like each state has its own coronavirus recovery plan, there is no set standard on how schools should proceed.
Every single school has to make that decision based upon the current pandemic, guidance from the CDC, the Center for Disease and Control and Prevention, as well as how local governments are viewing this pandemic in terms of reopening.
Now, many school administrators are making tentative plans for the fall, but they're also giving themselves a target date of July 15th to figure everything out and decide whether they should move forward with those plans or reconsider. We're live in Towson. Mark Roper, WMAR2 News.
Yeah.